Why God isolates his chosen ones. So I know firsthand how difficult seasons of isolation can be. And sometimes it's not even one season, it's been season after season after season repeatedly, almost to the point where you're questioning whether there's a curse on you or if you're always going to be in isolation. And God told me that he wanted me to start seeing things not from the filter of a victim, but from the filter of things are happening for me, not to me. So sometimes the reason why some people are isolated could be a deeper issue going on, and I go over this in my course on breaking the chains of rejection. But other times, it's God that's actually isolating you for a better purpose. Sometimes he's isolating you because he's working on you. He's building you to become that person who will be able to receive the blessings that he wants to give you. If he wants to bless you with a relationship, he's building your character so that you become whole and complete by yourself before blessing you with a spouse. Because if you're not whole and complete by yourself, he cannot bless you with your spouse, because you're only going to look at each other to complete each other, which is very, very toxic. So sometimes God is isolating us because he's working on our character, and it's a period of self-discovery and growth. Other times he's isolating us to strengthen our bond with him, to actually get to listen to his voice more clearly without any distractions. Other times he's taking you through a season of being alone because you're healing. Maybe you're healing from past trauma, from strongholds that are gradually getting dismantled. And I go through this in my course, where when you have negative beliefs about yourself and others, it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. It creates a cycle of rejection and abandonment. That's just how things work. When we have negative beliefs about ourselves or others, we can't have healthy relationships. So God is isolating you to protect you from toxic relationships that could potentially aggravate any existing issues. Sometimes rejection is redirection. So we have to look at it from all of the angles. It's difficult sometimes when we're isolated, but God sees things from a bigger perspective than we see things. So we might just see what's around us, but God sees from all different angles, and he sees the future as well, when we can only see one step ahead of us. So I know it's really difficult, but trust in God's timing and ask him for more understanding on why you're going through this season. Tell him that you're struggling to understand the purpose of this season, and he will reveal to you why. Maybe you're not ready for the spouse yet. So sometimes we pray for things, but we don't ask ourselves if we have what is required to have that. Do I have the diligence, the discipline to have that business? Do I have money management skills? Do I have the drive? Do I have my why, my reason, my purpose of why I'm doing this, so that when things get hard, when you're being tested, when opposition comes, you know why you're doing this and you're going to push through. Or if you want to get married and you're praying for a spouse, are you asking yourself if you're whole and complete? Because if you're desperately wanting to get married, that could be a sign that you're trying to fill a void. You think that your spouse will complete you and you're not happy by yourself. Typically, when we're in that state of mind, God will not give us our marriage when we are like this, because we're looking at another human being to fill a void inside of us, when only God can do that. Or maybe we need to gain more maturity, more understanding to have the qualities that our spouse will need in a partner. Let's say you want someone who is responsible, who can handle things, who is ambitious. Well, you also need to have those matching qualities Otherwise, it's just not going to be aligned. So when we think about it from a very, very logical perspective, there's always a reason. There's always a reason. God doesn't just keep us in loneliness just to make us suffer. There's always a greater purpose. And the greatest joy you can find is when you are in that season of loneliness and isolation, but you find joy in the Lord. He's the only one who's going to be able to sustain you forever. He's the only one that you're going to be able to lean on when people abandon you, when people forsake you. He's the only one that's always going to be there when relationships get hard. Who are you going to lean on? God is the one who fills any void. God is the one who gives us our sense of identity. So by building your identity in Him and not in validation from other people, that's when you're solid. That's when you build your house on the rocks. That's when you know you're ready for healthy relationships or friendships. See, God won't give us our idols because our idols will end up destroying us. If you idolize a marriage, for example, it means that you would be completely destroyed if this person was to leave you, or if this person goes through a season of trials, if your relationship go through a season of trials and you get that fear of abandonment, are you going to feel like your life is not worth living? Idolizing someone is such a toxic place to be because you're at the mercy of another human being. God doesn't want that for you. He wants you to have your own light and shine and have so much of it that it overflows and you have more to share. Not because there's darkness inside and you're looking for someone else's light to fill you. That's the difference. God is the only light that can fill you. So I want to share a word of encouragement today. If you're going through a season of isolation, just know that there is a purpose for it. Instead of suffering through that season, think of how you can use that time, all of that time that you have by yourself, to prepare for your next season so that you don't make that season longer than it's supposed to be. When the Israelites went through the wilderness, they were supposed to only go through it for 40 days, and it ended up being 40 years because they didn't learn their lessons. So you can make that season go faster for yourself by actually using that time to prepare for your next season. By extracting the gold from this season. You're being pressed, you're being put through the fire, but you need to extract that gold. You can make it go faster or you can make it go slower. So you can pray and ask God to help you, give you more clarity and more direction to take the steps you need to make the most out of this season. If this helped you, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if you're currently going through a season of loneliness or if you've been through multiple seasons of loneliness. And what was the biggest takeaway for you? This could help other people who are also watching. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.